to see that clock from you. Let's do it. 1, 2, 3, 4.
That's Ernie Martinez and Randy Chavez on guitar. You guys ready?
Hey everybody, my name is Bobby. Welcome to Mile High Church. Thank you so much for spending part of your weekend with us, especially if you're new. Our vision, oneness revealed, a world of love, peace, and abundance for all. Our mission, to serve as a spiritual beacon for personal empowerment and global enlightenment. Before we get started today, we want to give you a look at a few things coming up around Mile High Church for you and your family. Calling all women for the Women's Stay Treat this weekend with the inspirational Karen Drucker for an exploration of the word permission. Friday is a Grease sing-along, and Saturday will be filled with stories, song, and lots of laughter. And join us for our new Soul Collage class starting this Friday with Dodie Jackson. This is a creative journey of self-discovery and community through the art of collage. And we're excited for our upcoming speaker, civil rights activist, and spiritual visionary, Valerie Kaur, who will be here on October 3rd.
Revolutionary love is the call of our times. Revolutionary love is when we are brave enough to see no stranger, to look at anyone and think, you are a part of me I do not yet know. So when we flood the streets in our grief and our rage and fight for justice and insist on the humanity of our opponents, we are birthing the world to come, a world that leaves no one behind.
For more information about anything you've heard today, stop by the Event Center or connect with us online at milehighchurch.org.
Good morning. Sing along if you know it. You are on the road, must have a code that you can live by, and so become yourself, because the past is just a goodbye. Teach your children well, their father's hell will slowly go by, and feed them on your dream, the one they pick, the one you'll know by. Don't you ever ask them why, 'cause if they told you you would cry, just look at them and sigh, and know they love you. And you of tender years can know the fears that your elders grew by, and so please help them with yourself. They see the truth before they can die. Teach your parents well, their children's hell will slowly go by, and feed them on your dreams, the one they picked, the one you know by. Don't you ever ask them why, 'cause if they told you you would cry, so just look at them and sigh, and know they love you.
Barry Ebert, Laura Berman. So blessed to have Ernie Martinez with us, everyone. Randy Chavez, Bijou Barbosa, Larry Walker? Thompson. Yeah, Frank. Rob Lowe, band leader. So grateful to have them all here today. Sorry about that, Larry. 0 for 2. Good morning and welcome to Mile High Church. It's so good to see everyone here today. This service, we call our Spirit of Independence service. We only do it once a year, and the purpose is to remember the truth of our country. It's to remember the spiritual truth of what is the United States of America. And Noam Chomsky famously said of the American politic, if you're not outraged, you're not paying attention. I think he's right. Patriotism is having a little bit of outrage, but at the same time, I would argue that if you're not in awe of your country as well, you're not paying attention. When we get so cynical that we forget all of those who have given their lives for the prayer of America, when we forget the incredible characters that this country has produced, the amazing culture. We were reminded of the state motto of the great state of South Carolina, while I breathe, I hope. And I hope from this service today that we each get that experience of maybe a little grace with our outrage. Right? A higher consciousness that knows that we're capable of, because that's the kind of spirituality we are here. We don't turn away from the negative conditions that we see in the world, but we hold a higher consciousness and accountability for everyone. So if you are here for the first time, we're so glad you're here. We have a vision and mission we love to recite each week. It's coming up on the screens. If you want to say it along with me, it goes like this. Our vision, oneness revealed, a world of love, peace, and abundance for all. And our mission, to serve as a spiritual beacon for personal empowerment and global enlightenment. So again, so glad everyone is here. I'm so grateful that we can worship the God of our own understanding right here together in this physical and virtual sanctuary. So let's do just that through song, through silence, and through prayer.
Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angel wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place. Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush
And as we take a deep breath in and let that breath out, we let go of everything that has come before this moment. This beautiful Colorado day that we enjoy with the clear blue skies, seeing the mountains, hearing the birds, that's America. That's the reminder that this country we live in is a divine idea of God. And as we move through this life and remember that, we make sure that we respond with love and kindness and compassion to all of those, even those we don't agree with. That we see them, we listen, we allow them to be. And I know that in this time of appearances to the opposite, that God is all there is, that God is in the midst of everything, that as we pray for those who have been affected by floods, by fires, by wars, by all of these things that look opposite, we know that God is right there. And that each one of us in our divineness can step out of this space and respond with love and compassion so that this beautiful country we have can become kinder and gentler, because we love knowing that we are a part of this beautiful place at this time that we're here in, and so we show up in a way that really responds to God and God's way of being. And I'm so thankful to know that. I'm so thankful to know that God is all there is, and I can trust that. So for each person in the sound of my voice, I know we can step out into the power that is from God, from that divine source, and enter into a new day, knowing that it is brighter and kinder. Thank you, God. And so it is.
This song I wrote for thank you for Thomas Jefferson and his incredible vision for our country. It's called We Hold These Truths. We hold these truths. That's how it all began. A statement of poetic passion, a promise of a new homeland for life, for everyone equally, in the way that God intended, that all would be free. But oh, Miss Liberty, you know her cost is dear. So many caught in the gun sights, filled with pride and fear. They held these truths when everything else was gone, gave their lives in sacred honor for us to stand upon. Let freedom ring, but it ain't free. There must be hunger for responsibility. The price was paid for you and me. What will we do? Who will we be? We hold these truths, each of us in our own way. The frontier is inside us now, and inner peace for this we pray to life. The everlasting mystery, may we never lose our courage. May our hearts and minds stay free. But oh, Miss Liberty,
Our words of inspiration and contemplation come from Senator John McCain. We are the heirs and caretakers of freedom, a blessing preserved with the blood of heroes down through the ages. One cannot go to Arlington Cemetery and see name upon name, grave upon grave, row upon row, without being deeply moved by the sacrifice made by those young men and women. And those of us who live in this time, who are the beneficiaries of their sacrifice, must do our smaller and less dangerous part to protect what they gave everything to defend, lest we lose our own love of liberty.
Love of country is another way of saying love of your fellow countrymen, a truth I learned a long time ago in a country very different from ours. Patriotism is another way of saying service to a cause greater than self-interest. If you find faults with our country, make it a better one. If you are disappointed with the mistakes of government, join its ranks and work to correct them. I hope more Americans would consider enlisting in our armed forces. I hope more would consider running for public office or working in federal, state, and local governments. But there are many public causes where your service can make our country a stronger, better one than we inherited.
The good citizen and patriot knows what happiness is greater than comfort, more sublime than pleasure. The cynical and indifferent know not what they miss, for their mistake is an impediment not only to our progress as a civilization, but to their happiness as individuals.
You belong among the wildflowers. You belong in a boat out at sea. Sail away, kill off the hours. You belong somewhere you feel free. Run away, find you a lover. Go away somewhere all bright and new. Martinez.
Thank you, Barry Ebert. Thank you, Laura Berman, for putting this all together for us. Thank you, band, for being here. I think of Dr. Barry as kind of like our church dad. So it's like, oh, come on, Dad. Come and tell us everything's going to be okay. He does it in such a beautiful way with his own songs. And little Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Thank you, Barry. Valerie Kaur is coming to Mile High Church in October. Today is the last day to get your early bird special pricing. I think it's the last to get the blender giveaway as well. You could hear in the beautiful and slightly creepy video that she has a powerful message about love and loving your fellow Americans. And it does delve into the political a little bit, and I'm sure there are things that Valerie will say from the stage that I don't entirely agree with, but what I love about her is the way that she holds dignity for all people, and it helps reveal to us that disagreement isn't the problem in our country. It's hatred and othering and not seeing one another's humanity, and so I'm really looking forward to having her here, and hope you join us for that event. Condoleezza Rice, former Secretary of State, she said, "The essence of America, what really unites us is not nationality or ethnicity or religion. It is an idea. And what an idea it is, that you can come from humble circumstances and you can do great things. That it does not matter where you came from, it matters where you are going." And I would expand upon that to say that the United States isn't just an idea, it's a prayer. America is an affirmative prayer. It's a prayer for liberty, for justice, for the pursuit of happiness for all Americans. And we at Mile High, we hold as an article of faith liberty, justice, and the pursuit of one's joy for all people everywhere. As an article of our faith, something we believe in more than anything. Humanity's purpose is to live free, but damn is it hard work getting there. And not all prayers are realized the moment that they're spoken. Some prayers, like the prayer of the United States of America, are guides. There are times where we live close and at one-ment with this prayer. And there are times where we have turned our backs on this prayer and one another, and in so many ways disgraced it. But that prayer always has been and always will be. I love how the journalist and author Thomas Ricks put it. He said, "America is a moving target, a goal that must always be pursued but never quite reached." And I think we make a mistake when we associate the United States just with her government. A government or an administration represents the United States, but it's almost like it represents the United States in a snapshot of time. To really understand America, we have to look to its people. That America is a history of answered prayer. Answered prayer as Thomas Jefferson. Answered prayer as Frederick Douglass. Answered prayer as Harriet Tubman. Answered prayer as Eleanor Roosevelt. Answered prayer as Thurgood Marshall. Answered prayer as Martin Luther King Jr. Answered prayer in so many who have given their lives in service to this country. That's what America is. And my message to you today is, can you hear her prayer? That her prayer has never ceased being spoken. But we can stop listening to it. We can fall into cynicism, understandably. We can become blinded in our outrage that we forget to hope. And that's where we have to recognize our own responsibility is, if you don't remember the truth of America, who will? If you don't remember the truth of the United States, who will? Even when the Declaration of Independence was articulated in 1776, so many people knew that that prayer didn't apply to everyone in the country. Even John Adams' wife, Abigail, wrote him the following letter. I long to hear that you have declared an independency. And by the way, in the new code of laws, which I suppose it will be necessary for you to make, you hear her making fun of him there, I desire you would remember the ladies and be more generous and favorable to them than your ancestors. Do not put such unlimited power into the hands of the husbands. Remember, all men would be tyrants if they could. I don't know what she's talking about. If particular care and attention is not paid to the ladies, we are determined to foment a rebellion and will not hold ourselves bound by any laws in which we have no voice or representation. Another day of realizing the prayer of the United States happened on January 1st, 1863, when the Emancipation Proclamation was enacted. And Frederick Douglass, who championed that, said early on of the new President Lincoln, he said, time and practice will improve the president as they improve other men. He is tall and strong, but he is not done growing. He grows as the nation grows. I love that statement. We grow as the nation grows. As we evolve and overcome our judgments, our othering, our own shortcomings, we represent that prayer of what the United States is and should be, and we help bring it forward in a powerful way. But it keeps needing to be realized. Douglass was the last one to be naive enough to think that with the dawning of the Emancipation Proclamation that meant an end to racism and discrimination in the country. But he believed so strongly in the sacredness of its institutions to eventually do just that. He would say, our government may at some time be in the hands of a bad man. When in the hands of a good man, it is all well enough. We ought to have our government so shaped that even when in the hands of a bad man, we shall be safe. We move closer to the realization of the prayer. Sometimes we move further away, but it's up to us to remember it, to emphasize it, to champion it, to fight for it with grace, with class, with a higher consciousness. I think that's one of the great problems in our country today. It's not so much partisanship, but it's this idea that conservative and liberal are two totally different things. When the truth is that they're two sides of the same pole, that they have to work together in harmony. Even when you look at your own psyche, it's like there's a devil and an angel on our shoulders. You have to decide which is the conservative and which is the liberal. But there's always that part of us that wants progress, that wants to grow, that wants to expand freedoms as long as it's not harming anyone else, that calls for us to be the incredible, unique, wonderful, amazing human beings that we are, and to ensure that for others as well. And then there's that conservative parts of us that says, slow down, take it easy, save your money. And what happens is we get so into othering that the fringes of both of these don't even know what they teach or what they believe anymore, and they start hurting us because they forget to work together when they think that the goal is to destroy the other team. And they lose themselves and their own patriotism in the process. Nearing the end of the 19th century, there was a great public conflict between two incredible Americans, Mary Baker Eddy and Mark Twain. Mary Baker Eddy, the first woman to found a religion in the United States in the 1800s. You know, the word we use for that is badass. She's a pretty cool lady. And she was the first leader of what would become known as New Thought. She believed in the divinity in all people. She believed that we were all one. She believed that we could control conditions through the power of our mind. Twain saw this growing of what was called the mind cure movement at the time. And he saw this dawning of this thing called Christian Science, and he loved so much of the philosophy, but he did not like Eddy. He thought she was rigid, that she too often pointed at herself, and he did not like her teaching that we no longer needed to go to doctors. That we could only turn to prayer of the mind. Twain would say, they all achieve some cures, there's no question about it. And the faith cure and the prayer cure probably do no harm when they do no good, since they do not forbid the patient to help out the cure with medicines if he wants to. But the others bar medicines and claim ability to cure every conceivable human ailment through the application of their mental forces alone. There would seem to be an element of danger here. It has the look of claiming too much, I think. Public confidence would probably be increased if less were claimed. What was good about Christian Science? Oneness, affirmative prayer, honoring the divine spark in all people. What was perhaps not good about it? A leader pointing to themselves. Rigidity, the belief, as Ernest Holmes would later, that an aspirin isn't an answered prayer, because it can be. And it's so interesting to me that what we needed is both these teachings. The teachings of oneness and unity, even in its more conservative concept, and this pragmatism. And in a sense, this conflict gave birth to what we believe here. Deep mysticism coupled with an amazing pragmatism to live our lives. And I think we need that in our country. Two sides working together, not against each other. I love that we here can see the wholeness of divinity in all people, and perhaps we could see the American dream being born in each person as well. Isn't it an interesting thing to think that the whole prayer of the United States lives within each and every one of us? And part of the joy of living is being in service to that acorn, not only within ourselves, but in terms of one another. Nancy Pelosi, one of the most consequential politicians of the last many decades, first female Speaker of the House, helped lead the country through 9/11 and the financial crisis of 2008 and so much more. She said that her call to politics was led by my deep commitment to honoring the spark of divinity in every person. I love that being patriotic begins by seeing that wholeness of the American dream, the American possibility in each and every person, and dedicating ourselves not only to realizing it for ourselves, but to helping others realize it as well. Another great figure of the 19th century was Margaret Fuller. She was most definitely the most brilliant mind of the 19th century. And she worked with Ralph Waldo Emerson to help form this transcendental movement that influenced politics and education and our faith and literature and art and so much more. She was working with a boys' club, and at one point she got a job as a very famous, she would become a newspaper reporter, and she would actually become the first ever female foreign correspondent in the United States. And when she was in Italy, she met a man and fell in love, and she had a child out of wedlock, and she was afraid for a couple years to return, but finally she chose to return to this country to give of her gifts. And in a great tragedy, just not even a mile from the shore, her and her family did not know how to swim, and there was a crash, and they drowned. It was a terrible tragedy, and yet it was symbolic as well that this country, the United States, wasn't quite ready for what Margaret had for its shores. She wrote a popular book called Women in the 19th Century, where she says the world at large is readier to let women learn and manifest the capacities of her nature. Nancy Pelosi would share her first meeting at the White House with George W. Bush. She said, when he opened the meeting, President Bush was very gracious in his welcome. He noted my historic role and added that as the first woman to participate, I might have some different things to say. As he spoke, my chair started to feel crowded, and I had the sensation of being surrounded. It was as if I were being joined by the great women's rights activists and leaders, Susan B. Anthony, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Lucretia Mott, Sojourner Truth, and Alice Paul. I was not alone in my chair. All of them were sitting with me, saying, at last, we have a seat at the table. My next thought was, we want more. And yeah. Sometimes it's hard to see the prayer of the United States being answered when we see so much divisiveness or chaos or injustice or discrimination. But that prayer is always there. Can you hear it? Sometimes we forget to remember it when we cast a vote or when we walk through the mall and see that there are more nationalities than there are stores in it. When we see a first responder putting their life on the line, we forget that so many people believe so strongly in this prayer of the United States, even though they would not be able to fully realize and achieve it in our country themselves. But we get to live in that legacy of freedom, and we get to do the courageous work now that helps ensure an even greater realization of this prayer in the future. That's the spiritual responsibility to our country. It requires that we realize and embrace both the conservative and liberal aspects of who we are and in our country, hoping that folks can get off the fringes and get to a center place. It also requires that we stop dehumanizing our public servants. Stop dehumanizing our public servants. I have a long list of politicians I do not like and do not agree with, but I think we become cynical about public service when we label people as other or as evil, when the vast number of our public servants serve a cause greater than themselves. They deserve respect. They deserve dignity, even though we may fervently disagree with who they are. And that's something that we can do here. And you know that, my Aunt Nancy, she is so nice, but did you see what she said about the Secretary of Education on Facebook? Bah! We can fall so quickly into this deterioration, and it's up to us to hold that higher consciousness. Condoleezza Rice, a great Coloradan, by the way, had the most difficult job of being the national security advisor on 9/11. How heartbreaking, how much that sense of responsibility must have felt on her shoulders that day. She shares in her memoir, "How could this have happened? Did we miss something? Keep your focus. Just get to the end of today, then tomorrow, then the next day. There will be a time to go back. Not now. You have work to do." And Rice steadfast did everything she could in an administration full of quite the cast of characters to protect our country, to make the highest and best choices to ensure freedom and liberty for all people. And it was many years later when she was Secretary of State, there was a terrible terrorist attack in Mumbai, India. And she got the opportunity to meet with their national security advisor. He was a slight man who wore huge, dark-rimmed glasses that made him look like an owl. I had heard that he had offered to resign shortly after the attack, and the Prime Minister had refused to accept his resignation. He, M.K. Narayanan, had the same shell-shocked look that I remembered seeing in the mirror after the attacks on the Twin Towers and the Pentagon. I took his hands. "This is not your fault," I said. "I know how you feel. It's like being in a dark room with doors all around and knowing anything might pop out and attack again. But now you have to concentrate on preventing the next attack." America is a history of mistakes, but it is also a history of correcting those mistakes. We need to be aware of our errors, our mistakes, our injustices, our tragedies, but we also should be just aware of so many efforts to resolve them, to heal them, to move us forward in a more constructive way. We are complicated enough individuals that we can do just that we can hold leaders accountable, and yet we can hold on to that saying from South Carolina, "While I breathe, I hope." I hold that light and that prayer for all beings everywhere. Someone who was able to lead in an incredible way with a high sense of decorum was the first female justice of the Supreme Court, Sandra Day O'Connor. She could be known to be feisty in her role as a legislator in the state of Arizona, It was quite the boys' club, and in particular, the head of the appropriations committee there was known as a 10 a.m. drunk by 10 a.m. And when O'Connor confronted him about his drinking, he said, "If you were a man, I'd hit you right in the face." And she replied quickly, "If you were a man, you could." But she brought more of a decorum to her work as a Supreme Court Justice Joan Biskupic said in her biography of Sandra Day O'Connor. Whatever rivalries there were among the justices in O'Connor's first years, she appeared to look beyond them. Whatever slight she felt, she kept to herself. Whatever grudges she nurtured, she kept them secret. In fact, she would write to Blackmun, a fellow justice, as her first term would wind down. "As the term concludes, I wanted to tell you what a privilege it has been for me to work with you this year. Your knowledge and the care you exhibit with all you do sets a wonderful example." As she had in legislative politics, she always struck an outwardly positive note. In closing today, I invite you to treat your country like a prayer. Treat your country like you would treat a prayer. First and foremost, don't get cynical about it. I know that's so easier said than done, but prayer isn't wishful thinking. It's hard work, and it means carrying a higher consciousness for this prayer that is your country and of what it can be. This means the hard work of holding others accountable and not turning a blind eye to any injustice that you may see, but it means holding that higher truth. Treating your country like a prayer means nurturing it every day. Taking that time to remembering the truth of your country. If you're unhappy with the current administration, I understand. But there are other Americans to remember and listen to and read and be a part of. And we do them no favor when we fall into cynicism or in a lack of faith in our country and what it's capable of doing. Lastly, continue to hold that highest consciousness for being the answered prayer yourself. That when we don't see the prayer of the United States being answered, it's a call for us to be a presence for the answer of that prayer. Speak your voice with clarity and conviction. Point and criticize with respect and with dignity. But always know that you are a demonstration for the United States. And if you don't remember the truth of your country, who will? It's up to each and every one of us to find our way in alignment with this great divine birthright we've been given to know that truth of freedom for ourselves and for others. So moving into a closing prayer today, I invite any of our practitioner prayer partners who want to join me to do so. And I just invite us to become mindful of all of those individuals who we have seen have made progress in realizing the prayer of the United States of America. They may be people who are famous. They may be people who gave their lives in service that you know, and family members. And I just invite us to whisper those names out loud in the sanctuary of prayer. So knowing that prayer, that divine idea back of the United States of America, I know that this prayer cannot die, that it lives strongly and serenely in the heart of well-minded, heart-intentioned people who seek a greater freedom for themselves and for others. Not sugarcoating the challenges that face us as a nation and in the world, but still knowing the tenacity, the graciousness, the courage, and the wisdom that it takes to lead ourselves and to call others to appeal to their inner nature, to help be a co-creative force in the realization of this prayer for all. Giving thanks for all of those who have given their lives in service to the United States, I just simply know that legacy is right here and right now, that it continues to guide and uplift, even in difficult times, guide to a greater realization, innately in all things, towards freedom, towards joy, towards liberty, towards justice, towards well-being, and the right to live for all. We let it be, we let it become, and so it is. Amen.
Let freedom reign, but it ain't free. There must be hunger for responsibility. The price was paid for you and me. What will we do? Who will we be? The price was paid for you and me. What will we do? Who will we be?
We move into our time of offering. Thank you for all of the prosperity and abundance you share with Mile High Church. Speaking of sacred institutions, the Nacho Men are here. We're going to have our patriotic, joyful picnic. The Nacho Men know the American Songbook like nobody else, and we'll be playing it with veracity out there on the veranda. We've got watermelon, we've got games. It's going to be a lot of fun. And it's your donations that help us put things like that help us have this incredible musical buffet that we've had for us today, this incredible production team. So thank you for making Mile High Church the incredible spiritual community it is. Let us affirm the abundance of Mile High Church. Let us affirm our own abundance. Let us affirm the prosperity of everyone here in person and watching online as well. As we say our offering blessing all together, it goes like this. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. And so it is.
How many roads must a man walk down before you call him a man? How many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? Yes, and how many times must the cannonballs fly before they're forever banned? Well, the answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. How many years must a mountain exist before it's washed to the sea? Yes, how many years can some
Thank you, thank you, thank you to our wonderful band. And I thought to myself in both services, that is a blast from the past. Let's thank our band again. Thank you. For those of you who are here for the first time, I always love to say this. It's like this every Sunday. Maybe not with the flag up and some of those things, but in terms of the energy level, So I would like to invite anyone who's new for the first time here today to come meet me in the Welcome Center and get this great little bag. Not only is the bag nice, but it has some discount coupons in it that you can use for our store. So please come and visit. If you want to know more about Mile High and Science of Mind, please stop by. The practitioners are down front. I think after your message that many people may want to come forward and get a prayer just to feel good, if nothing else. So I encourage you to do that. And also, we have started our school supply drive today, and that is part of our Make a Difference group. This particular school drive benefits the Action Center, which will serve all of the Jeffco schools. They'll bring the children to a school where all these backpacks are packed, and they'll be able to come and pick out their own backpack. So it's really a great service. For those of you online, you can participate also, and that is by going to our website to the link for our school supply drive, and in there is a link to something that doesn't say Runga, but it'll take you to a site called Runga, which will send those supplies straight to the Action Center, so you don't have to shop, so you don't have to come and drop things off. But for those of you here in the room, you can do that, or you can drop things off for the next 3 weeks. Thank you. We love that you continue to support our community.
Thank you, Jackie, and thank you to our Make a Difference ministry. This is one of the most important things we do all year, and it really goes all year. There's no such thing as a local school, when they call for help because of your generosity, we're always able to support them in some way, and so grateful for your leadership of that program for us, Jackie. We're going to close today a little bit differently. There was a song prayer written many years by another great demonstration of America, a guy named Woody Guthrie, and Barry sings a song better than anybody else I know, and he's gonna pray with us.
As I was walking that ribbon of highway, saw above me the endless skyway. I saw below me a golden valley. This land was made for you and me. I've roamed and rambled, followed my footsteps through the sparkling sands of her diamond deserts. All around me, a voice was calling. Said this land was made for you and me. This is your part. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island. From the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me. Pick it a ring. California let's sing it. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and yes, it was. This land is your land. This land is mine. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me. This land was made for you and me. You know this land was made for you and me. Thank you much. You guys sound great. We'll see you at the picnic.